Another day on the stand. A sobbing Amber Heard describes abuse at the hands of her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, who has maintained his innocence all along. Today, the disturbing details of a fight between the two actors.
At some point, he had a broken bottle up against my face, neck area by my jawline, and he told me he'd carve up my face.
Bloody battles at a massive steel plant used as a shelter in eastern Ukraine. Hundreds of Ukrainian forces and civilians, including children, hiding in tunnels and bunkers in what has become the last holdout in the key port city of Mariupol. Russia desperate for a win ahead of their Victory Day holiday on Monday. Ian Pannell in Ukraine for ABC News Live tonight. As the debate over abortion intensifies and more demonstrators draw battle lines outside the Supreme Court, the Capitol is increasing security. The protective fencing in place following the leaked draft opinion suggesting that justices are about to overturn the landmark Roe versus Wade decision. And the call from Democrats to vote on a bill next week that makes abortion rights a federal law. Stock market free fall, the more than 1,000-point plunge today after the Fed announced the largest interest rate hike in 22 years. Putting a new spin on traditional dishes. Our talk with the Korean vegan who's using cooking on social media to weave in the story of her family. Action, risk, and suspense at the heart of a show exploring the Iran-Israel conflict. The incomparable Glenn Close sits down with our own Will Reeve to talk the next season of Tehran.
She loves her country deeply. She loves the culture deeply. And she feels very strongly about what's happening in her country. And she has many, many secrets.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. It may just be the beginning of the end of the battle for the key port city of Mariupol, and that's where we begin tonight with the escalating fight in Ukraine. One Ukrainian commander says that, quote, heavy, bloody battles are being fought for control of that massive steel plant where hundreds of Ukrainian fighters as well as civilians are trapped inside, the last holdouts in that besieged city. It comes as Russia's Vladimir Putin pushes ahead with relentless attacks on Ukraine, eager to show progress in the war ahead of Russia's so-called Victory Day holiday on Monday, the day that marks the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany during World War II. But Ukrainian forces are fighting back throughout the country, including in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, where they've managed to push back Russian forces. For a look at where the fighting stands tonight, we begin with ABC News' senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell from eastern Ukraine.
Tonight, a band of Ukrainian fighters defiantly still holding out against the Russian army in what are described as heavy, bloody battles inside the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. This new, undated video is from the far-right Azov battalion fighting on the Ukrainian side. Other undated video posted by pro-Russian separatists show brutal bombings from the air. One official calling it bleak hell, where up to 200 civilians, including children, are trapped. Evacuation hopes shattered again today by non-stop Russian shelling. But another rescue mission planned tomorrow. Russia also striking key infrastructure across the country, trying to cripple Ukraine's supply lines. Today, the Pentagon responding to a New York Times report that the U.S. is providing intelligence, including Russian troop movements and the location of mobile headquarters, to Ukraine, which has led to the deaths of a dozen Russian generals. U.S. officials saying the shared intelligence is meant to help Ukraine in its fight and is not given with the intent to kill top Russian commanders.
We do not provide intelligence on the location of senior military leaders on the battlefield or participate in the targeting decisions of the Ukrainian military.
But U.S. intelligence and weapons have been crucial in helping Ukraine's battlefield successes. Russians have now been driven 25 miles away from the country's second-largest city, Kharkiv, one of the first places to be heavily shelled. And Ukrainian military is now hitting occupied towns located right by the Russian border itself. We went to Degachi, one of at least 5 towns recently liberated from the Russians. The trail of destruction has seen 80% of its population flee. Alexander's home was destroyed by a Russian rocket. He says the Russians ruled here with fear, destroying most of the town during the fight to liberate it. He now lives with his elderly mother, who doesn't want to leave her home despite the shelling. When she hears the shelling, she jumps out of bed and prays, he says. Everyone's scared. He struggles to talk about the pain and the fear of being under Russian occupation. The effort to punish Putin and his backers for this war is intensifying. A $300 million yacht owned by a Russian oligarch was seized by the US in Fiji today. And there are urgent calls to confiscate a $700 million mega yacht docked in Italy before it sets sail in the next few days. US officials reportedly believe it's linked to Putin himself.
Ian Pannell joins us tonight from eastern Ukraine. And Ian, you mentioned there will be another attempt tomorrow to rescue civilians trapped in the fighting at the steel plant in Mariupol. What's the latest on that effort and the chances of success?
Yeah, Lindsay, I mean, look, we know there have been repeated attempts to try and get those civilians out there. In reality, no one really knows quite how many there are. Apparently, there's a whole network of underground bunkers in this massive facility that stretches dozens of miles across. It's been very hard to get them out, especially amid the fighting. But we now know, according to the UN, that a convoy is on its way to Mariupol as we speak. It's expected to get there early Friday morning and to try and reach some of those last civilians and get them out. But of course, that is entirely dependent on there being yet another ceasefire. We now understand that Russian troops are inside the plant complex, that there is heavy bombardment taking place. The Ukrainian forces, who are making a last-ditch stand, are standing and resisting. All of that has to stop to allow those buses to go in. And, you know, we were talking to someone the other day who was talking about the bus drivers who have to brave it. These are Ukrainian bus drivers who have to risk all of that to go in there and get those civilians out. So there are so many things that have to get into place, but there's a lot of pressure from a lot of sides. Vladimir Putin speaking to a number of world leaders who are also trying to apply pressure on him to allow a ceasefire and get those civilians out. Of course, everyone's hoping that's exactly what will happen. But for the fight itself, I think we should expect that to go on till the bitter end. Lindsay.
All right, Ian Pannell, our thanks to you as always. Next to the move by the FDA to limit the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in favor of the Pfizer and Moderna shots over concerns of blood clots. This comes as the latest data shows hospitalizations are soon expected to rise as cases continue to climb nationwide. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson.
Tonight, the FDA moving to limit the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, saying the one shot should only be given to Americans who either don't have access to the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines or won't take them. The FDA pointing to the real but rare risk of blood clots after the J&J shot. It comes as COVID hospitalizations and deaths are expected to climb for the first time in months. In the last 2 weeks, ER visits up 44%.
For the most part, people are well protected from the vaccines, but those that are unvaccinated make up a large portion of those that are in hospitals, as well as the elderly and immunocompromised patients that can't mount an effective immune response.
And tonight, health officials also reporting more people are turning to the drug Paxlovid, its use up tenfold in recent weeks. But now a team of scientists is investigating some reports of a relapse in COVID symptoms in patients who took the antiviral drug. Paxlovid, which can cut the risk of hospitalization by nearly 90%, is for people with mild to moderate COVID symptoms at high risk of severe disease. John Donahue says he, his wife, and mother-in-law all saw their COVID symptoms dramatically reduced after taking the pills.
After about another 5 days, we started having symptoms again, all three of us. We had another 5 days or so of feeling ill, where we tested positive.
Donahue says the second time around, the symptoms were milder. The CDC says the reports of relapse are a reminder that anyone who develops symptoms of illness during or after isolation should remain isolated, masked, and seek out testing in clinical care. For patients who get recurrent COVID symptoms, the FDA says there is no need to take more Paxlovid. Tonight, many health experts remain confident in the drug's benefits.
The main thing is Paxlovid is to prevent progression to severe disease, hospitalization, and death, and it does that.
Many doctors really high on Paxlovid and its effects. ABC's Whit Johnson joins us now. Whit, let's go back to that news about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the concern about blood clots. Do Americans who took a J&J shot months ago or even longer need to be concerned?
Lindsay, millions of Americans got the J&J shot. And while there is a low risk of blood clots, that's only been seen in the short term, the days and weeks after the shot. Health officials have been recommending the other vaccines for months now because they don't carry the same level of risk. But this is the furthest they've gone in actually limiting access to J&J. Lindsay?
Whit Johnson, our thanks to you. We turn now to the wild swing on Wall Street today and the biggest single-day losses since 2020, just 24 hours after the markets had jumped up after the Federal Reserve's announcement on raising interest rates was less than some had feared. But today, a major reversal, the Dow finishing down more than 1,000 points for the day, a drop of more than 3%, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ index down more than 600 points, or 5% on the day. Let's try to make sense of it all with our chief business and economics correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis. Rebecca, we talked yesterday about how the markets reacted positively after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's remarks seemed to ease concerns about how the Fed would be tackling inflation. So then why this major reversal today?
Well, Lindsay, as one Wall Street veteran put it to me, this U-turn is reality setting in. We are dealing with historic inflation, and there's one way to really tackle that, and that is for the Federal Reserve to hike interest rates. That's what we saw them do yesterday. There was some relief that they might not be aggressive about the hikes going forward, but you can believe there will be more hikes, and when there are interest rate hikes, it helps cool things down so that prices don't get out of control, but it also has the impact of slowing down the economy. And we have really, for the last decade, been in this environment where the Fed has helped juice the economy and help make things run the way that they've run. We're now entering into this new reality, and you can't expect to see stocks go up, up, up every single day, Lindsay.
And so, of course, you tend to counsel patience when it comes to the markets, and that regular investors should take the long view. But with the losses seen across the board this year, should people still feel comfortable putting money in the market, or would it be wise to stay on the sidelines for now?
Well, look, Lindsay, I am not a financial advisor. I am a student of finance. And if you look at history, what history shows time and time again is that investing for the long term is the strategy that pays off the most. Since 1980, even when you account for inflation, the market on average returns about 9% every year. Again, you got to invest for the long term in order to take advantage of that. And here's another stat for you. About 90% of the pros get it wrong. They actually lose. They underperform the stock market. So if you just put that money into your 401k, your retirement savings account for the long term, you're already one step ahead of them, Lindsay.
And we so appreciate your insight as a student of this industry. Rebecca Jarvis, our thanks to you. Now to the deeply personal debate over abortion rights in this country. Chief Justice John Roberts weighing in on the unprecedented leak of a draft opinion that appeared to signal Roe v. Wade will be overturned. Roberts saying if the leaker thought it would affect the Supreme Court's work, they are foolish. Overnight, an 8-foot-tall fence was installed around the court itself. Democrats are looking for ways to protect the right to choose, while Republicans are mostly silent. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, metal fencing now up, protecting the highest court in the land. But still, a flood of demonstrators showed up at the steps. Senate Democrats are now vowing to hold a vote on legislation that would make a woman's right to obtain an abortion a federal law, codifying the Roe decision.
Republicans will not be able to hide from the horror they've unleashed on America.
Only 2 Republican senators support abortion rights. One of them is Senator Susan Collins. She voted for Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, convinced they would not overturn Roe.
So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
And one of the important things to keep in mind about Roe v. Wade is that it has been reaffirmed many times over the past 45 years.
At the time, Collins said she was given assurances.
He noted that Roe had been reaffirmed 19 years later by Planned Parenthood versus Casey, and that it was precedent on precedent. He said it should be extremely rare that it be overturned, and it should be an example.
So you have obviously full confidence.
I do.
But that draft opinion indicates both Gorsuch and Kavanaugh will vote to overturn Roe after all. Collins now says that's completely inconsistent with what they told her privately. Collins supports codifying Roe v. Wade as a federal law, but today she declared she will not support the Democrats' bill because it goes too far.
My goal is to codify what is essentially existing law. That means Roe v. Wade, and it means keeping the conscience protections, which appear to be wiped out by the Democrats' version.
But Lisa Murkowski, the other Republican senator supporting abortion rights, says she is now willing to take another look at what Democrats are offering.
Rachel Scott joins us now from Supreme Court. Rachel, would Democrats consider revising their legislation to try to get these 2 Republican senators on board?
Well, at this point, that's just a path that they're not willing to take. They want to go with this much larger piece of legislation. But today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will continue to vote on legislation to codify Roe versus Wade. But here's the reality, Lindsay. Even if they did have the support of Murkowski and Collins, 2 Republicans, it still would not be enough to get any of that legislation passed, Lindsay.
All right, they'd still fall short. Rachel Scott, our thanks to you as always. Now to a surprise announcement today in the case of a man accused of attacking comedian Dave Chappelle on stage during a performance at the Hollywood Bowl. ABC's Will Carr joins us now from Los Angeles. And Will, the LA District Attorney said that the suspect will not face a felony charge of assault with a deadly weapon. Do we know why?
That's right, Lindsay, and a lot of this centers around the video of the incident that played out on Tuesday night. In that video, you can see the suspect, Isaiah Lee, leap on stage and tackle Dave Chappelle. Authorities say that he had a replica gun that had a knife in it. The big question is, was he pointing that weapon at Chappelle, or did he even have the weapon in his hand when he jumped up on stage? At this point, it appears to be unclear, especially when you take a hard look at that video. We believe that's why he was not charged with a felony. He is still in custody, and now the district attorney has turned it over to the city attorney to see if he wants to charge him with a misdemeanor. Lindsay.
And so is it just the misdemeanor, or are there other charges that the suspect could face?
So at this point, the city attorney could charge Lee with battery, a misdemeanor battery charge. We should point out that the city attorney is running for mayor here, so he understands there are political implications with such a public type crime if he does decide to charge him with a misdemeanor. And on a broader level, we should point out exactly what's playing out here across California, both here in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. The district attorneys ran on platforms of getting rid of mass incarceration and making sure they were not overcharging suspects. But as you've seen crimes play out publicly, you can think of people running into stores, grabbing merchandise, running out, all caught on camera as these things have become national stories. They have gotten a lot of criticism. The people who are really voicing the criticism are saying that the district attorneys both here in Los Angeles and San Francisco are soft on crime. As a result, the district attorney in San Francisco is facing a recall election next month, and there is a similar effort taking way here in Los Angeles. Lindsay.
High-profile case here. A lot of people will be watching. Will, our thanks to you.
You bet.
Now to the severe weather threat for millions after dangerous storms already hit some areas overnight. Storm chasers capturing this massive tornado in Texas, one of at least 10 tornadoes in the past 24 hours. The system will reach into the mid-Atlantic tomorrow. The Northeast will also feel it. ABC senior meteorologist Rob Marciano is timing it all out for us. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Lindsay. It's becoming a really big system with big impacts and hazards, all of them nearly across a big swath of the country. We've got flooding rains as well on the backside, the wake of this system. Let's talk about the severe weather watches. They've been extended to get all the way into Kentucky now, Bowling Green back through Nashville, Tupelo, Greenville. Nasty line just went through Shreveport. And the tail end of that tornado watch, which likely will be expiring here pretty soon, still have some storms popping around also. But you see the big flood watches in eastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas and southern Missouri. That's from all the rain that they had the past 36 hours. Their rivers are really high, so flood warnings in some cases continue. The bullseye tomorrow for severe weather is going to be across southern Alabama and central Georgia, Atlanta in that too, but it really reaches all the way up into Roanoke and Richmond, Virginia. Damaging winds, large hail, and there'll be a threat for tornadoes, especially the farther south you go. But this system is going to kind of spin its way into the mid-Atlantic over the next 48 hours and kind of sit there. Saturday is not looking great for a fair amount of the mid-Atlantic and nearly all the way up past New York City through Saturday afternoon. It's not the best of Saturdays there. This while more systems kind of stack up in the plains for a severe weather threat nearly every day heading into next week. Lindsay?
Oh, no break of sunshine here. Rob Marciano, our thanks to you. And when we come back, the flipped over car and the officer who jumped in the water to save a driver. The family and answering some tough questions after it was revealed they allowed a 6-year-old to run a marathon. But up next, another disturbing day of testimony in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. We have the very latest details. Stay with us.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live.
It was a scary time. In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it, serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
We have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
The hottest views in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see. Honest takes from strong women.
We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out.
Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view.
We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Is that the gun?
That's not the gun.
What is it? I won't ask you again then. Are you a Nazi?
The deeper you go into the black market,
you could be putting your life at risk.
the darker it gets.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's why we do it.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now. America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
What you are looking at is a North Carolina state trooper putting his car and perhaps his life on the line to stop a wrong-way driver. Trooper Cody Tao is being called a hero for his actions on I-40. His actions stopped a suspected wrong-way drunk driver and is believed to have saved lives. Today, we heard even more shocking testimony from Amber Heard as part of her defense in the libel lawsuit filed against her by her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. Today, she testified emotionally about what she says happened during the couple's ill-fated trip to Australia in 2015. And we do want to warn our viewers the testimony is graphic and may be triggering for some. ABC's Stephanie Ramos reports.
More disturbing testimony in Amber Heard's second day on the witness stand. The actress sued for $50 million. Her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, claims she defamed him by claiming to be the victim of abuse.
Realizing there was a phone there, and he picked up the phone and he's screaming. He's like at the top of his lungs, screaming, "I hate you, I hate you, you ruined my life," and screaming at the top of his lungs. He picks up the phone and starts bashing the phone against the wall where I was just being held. And I was that phone all of a sudden.
On the witness stand, Heard doubled down, sobbing as she recounted a fight about Depp's drinking during their ill-fated 2015 trip to Australia.
I don't know how much time passed, but at some point he had a broken bottle up against my face, neck area by my jawline, and he told me he'd carve up my face. He had me by the neck, and he felt like he was on top of me, and I'm looking at him in his eyes, and I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore. It wasn't him. It was black. I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't see him. I felt this pressure. On my pubic bone.
Her lawyer asking her to clarify what she felt.
Johnny had the bottle inside of me. And was shoving it inside of me over and over again.
Heard testified that the next morning, she woke up to find messages written in blood on the walls from what she assumed came from his partially severed finger, and that none of the writing was hers.
I walked downstairs and I saw this brown on the walls going down the stairs. And the brown on the walls became clear, like lettering. And then it was obvious it was dried blood. There was blood on the carpet. I could see blood drips. I thought it was from my arms or feet, but it was drips. I walked downstairs where I heard the music coming from, and that's where I found him. Had his hand wrapped in this like rags or bandana rags, and I think he took them down or somehow showed me, and he said, "Look what you made me do. I did this for you."
The dramatic testimony in stark contrast to how Depp recounted the trip when he testified, claiming the Aquaman actress extinguished a cigarette on his face and partially severed his middle finger by throwing a vodka bottle.
So we went to the emergency room. The doctor asked me what happened, and I lied to him. I said that I had smashed it.
Why would you lie about that?
I didn't want to get her in trouble.
In Depp's 4 days on the stand, he claimed it was Heard who abused him.
It's definitely me. After receiving kind of a roundhouse punch from Miss Heard.
Today, Heard continued to paint a picture of a jealous husband, describing the moment they were both on a private plane and an alleged violent argument took place over her filming a romantic scene with actor James Franco.
My back is turned to him, and I feel this boot in my back. No one said anything. No one did anything. It was like you could hear a pin drop on that plane. You could feel the tension, but no one did anything. I felt so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people. And more embarrassing, I didn't know what to do about it.
The defense plays this audio recording made by Heard saying that's Depp howling on that plane bound for LA before passing out in the bathroom. Heard testified that after the Pirate star hit what she thought was rock bottom, in 2014, she accompanied him to the Bahamas to detox from his alleged drug use, calling it hell.
It was up, down, he'd be mad at me. Then he was wanting a hug.
Explaining she made the audio recordings and took photos of him passed out because she knew otherwise Depp wouldn't remember. This recording played days earlier from Depp's team.
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. You are such a baby. Grow the up, Johnny.
Depp's libel lawsuit stems from a 2018 op-ed published by Heard in the Washington Post. The 35-year-old described herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse without naming Depp. But Depp's legal team argues the implications are clear and that it cost him movie roles. Depp insists he never hit her. Heard's defense argues she's within her First Amendment rights, countersuing for $100 million.
Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos for that. And joining us now for more context and analysis on this testimony and trial is celebrity divorce attorney Chris Melcher. Chris, thank you so much for joining us as always. So give us your reaction to the last 2 days of Amber Heard's testimony.
Well, she had to listen to 3 weeks of some devastating testimony by Johnny and witnesses and her own recordings that was demonstrating, at least from Johnny's perspective, that she was the aggressor in the relationship and he was the victim. But now she has her turn, and this is her opportunity to put on her story. But they both cannot be right. Their stories are diametrically opposed. One of them has to be lying.
And right before she describes the moment with the bottle, Heard said on the stand, quote, "I can't believe I have to do this." Do you feel that that moment was very impactful for her side?
Well, you know, this is the problem is that only the jury can assess credibility. And we haven't heard all the evidence yet. And I don't believe she did a good job explaining some of this other evidence, and she's taken no accountability for the statements that she's made on recordings attacking Johnny, and only admitted one time when she hit him, and there's a witness to that. So she's not done with her testimony. This was extremely difficult testimony to listen to, and if the allegations are true, I mean, it's heart-wrenching. But again, they both can't be right, and Johnny has absolutely denied these allegations.
And this trial is a civil one about a libel accusation, so there isn't the whole guilty beyond a reasonable doubt burden. Once the jury is handed this case, what do you think that they're looking for?
Well, there really comes down to a he said, she said, and there is some independent evidence. And ultimately, they're going to be looking at the demeanor of the witnesses on the stand and whether there's these inconsistencies. The problem is that they were both in an abusive relationship, and her statement is fairly general. So I don't know that either one of them will be successful in winning the claims that they're making here in court. And I got to think this is more about having the court of public opinion assess this. And at least until Amber took the stand, public opinion was squarely behind Johnny, but we'll see now how things change.
And when we had you on last week after Johnny Depp testified, you said the Depp's team had done a good job in showing Amber Heard was the dominant aggressor in the relationship. After these two testimonies by her team, do you feel the same way at this point?
Well, I mean, that evidence exists, and it came out. Again, this is Amber's turn, and you know, we're not on the jury. The jury's going to have to make that determination, and it really depends on your views here of the case when you're looking at it here, as we all are. But Lindsay, I felt that Johnny was the more credible witness, but again, not for me to decide.
And you certainly know celebrities and know Hollywood regardless of the outcome. Do you think that either of their careers will be able to rebound?
Well, I think Johnny has benefited by bringing light to these allegations. The allegations that Amber made against Johnny were publicized. She actually made these in the media, and he kept quiet. So this was his opportunity to bring it out, but today was a very difficult day to listen to. So I think they both come out of this wounded.
Celebrity divorce attorney Chris Melcher, we thank you as always.
Thanks.
Still ahead here on Prime, the hip-hop pioneer sentenced behind bars for a fatal stabbing. Our conversation with actress Glenn Close talking about the show Tehran that she just joined. And after that auction of Diego Maradona's jersey fetched millions, we take a look at sports memorabilia by the numbers. But first, our tweet of the day. A$AP Rocky and Rihanna raising some eyebrows online about this video they posted where A$AP had a marry me grill and hers says, I do. We asked them about it. They claim it's just a music video.
The deeper you go into black markets, the darker it gets.
Traffic, Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
Right now, with so much at stake, Sunday mornings, this is the place. Taking on all the tough questions. Straightforward reporting. No spin, no hype, no bull. Thank you for making ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos the #1 Sunday morning news show versus the competition.
Welcome to This Week.
It was a scary time. In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles. There were so many murders happening. He had to have a name for it, serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
We have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
Is that the gun?
That's not the gun.
What is it? I won't ask you again then. Are you a Nazi?
The deeper you go into black markets,
You put your life at risk.
the darker it gets.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's why we do it.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
These days, with so much going on, it's hard to keep up.
While others are recapping yesterday's headlines,
We're bringing you the right now.
This is the busy border crossing. Steel barricades, another strike.
The Right Now look at the day ahead, how it affects you and your family.
Record high gas prices.
the threat of cyber warfare.
Is peace possible?
World News Now beginning at 2 a.m. Eastern, followed by America This Morning,
America's #1 early morning news.
streaming here on ABC News Live.
Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
I risked my life. If I was caught, they would have put a bullet in my head.
That would have been one of the most deadly acts of domestic terrorism ever in the United States.
He put himself in jeopardy for us.
Welcome back, everyone. As we reported yesterday, the jersey that soccer star Diego Maradona wore when he scored that infamous Hand of God goal in the 1986 World Cup tournament set a new record for an item of sports memorabilia. Here's a look at the lucrative world of sports memorabilia by the numbers. $9.3 million. That's the record-shattering price paid at auction for that jersey from the 1986 Argentina-England quarterfinal match. But it's not always sweat-stained sportswear that fetches the high prices. $8.8 million. That's how much someone paid in 2019 for the original signed manifesto that launched the modern Olympic movement, setting the previous record. Other jaw-dropping prices in recent years include $6.6 million. That's what a collector paid for a Honus Wagner baseball card in September, the most ever paid for a sports card. $5.64 million was a previous record for a piece of actual sportswear. That was for Babe Ruth jersey, also sold in 2019. Prices are rising fast. Just 5 years ago, $2 million was enough to pick up a jersey worn by Jackie Robinson, the first African-American to play Major League Baseball in the modern era. Last year, a Robinson jersey went for about $4.2 million. One memorabilia appraiser told the New York Times she could now imagine a Jackie Robinson jersey going for as much as $20 million. And we still have lots to get to here on Prime tonight. The new sunscreen summer warning. And meet the woman who's gone viral for putting a spin on traditional Korean dishes. That's in this week's TikTok. But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
National parks are incredibly safe places. A crime will happen.
Hey, my wife has fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident.
There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, What You Need to Know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
More fallout from that bombshell leak from the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel Alito has canceled an appearance at a judicial conference set to begin today. Alito, the author of that 5-4 draft opinion from February that shows a majority of the justices are poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. And overnight, fencing erected around the court as an additional security measure. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announcing the Senate will vote next week to begin debate on protecting abortion as part of federal law.
Republicans will have two choices. They can own the destruction of women's rights, or they can reverse course and work to prevent the damage.
As an officer runs up, you see the barrier toppled over, and then the car in the water upside down with a woman trapped in it. She's in there. Officer Sean Gartland, whom you see here, was the first one in. Next, Officer John Brzezowski and Detective Sergeant Carlos DePoter make the 10-foot drop and start searching as well. They pull her out, and you can see they start performing CPR on the woman in the water. 3 Good Samaritans on a boat showed up. Gene Blemmings was one of them. He, along with 2 of his co-workers, were out on a barge working. Get her on the boat. One of his co-workers is a volunteer firefighter and took over CPR until they were able to get the woman onto a nearby dock. And as you would expect, no one involved in the rescue thinks they did anything out of the ordinary.
I feel like we did our job. We did what we said we would do.
Hopefully everything turns out good for her. That's all that matters to me.
Founding member of the legendary hip-hop group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five was sentenced today for the stabbing death of a homeless man.
Kid Creole stabbed John Jolly with a steak knife in 2017 in Midtown Manhattan because he thought the other man was hitting on him. Kid Creole, whose real name is Nathaniel Glover, was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison.
The homeless man was stabbed twice in the chest with a steak knife back in August of 2017.
A family of 8 completed the full Flying Pig Marathon together in 8 hours and 35 minutes. In a social media post, the father said his 6-year-old son made it to mile 20 after 7 hours. He said he was struggling physically, crying, and kept wanting to sit down. And while running is typically okay for young children,
A marathon certainly sounds like, a lot to do for a 6-year-old and not something that we usually recommend.
other kids in the family ran the race in previous years, but unofficially. But the father said the director of the race, Irish Bush, helped them all officially register this year. He says she told them not to worry about a doctor's visit because they seemed prepared.
Well, it was like a scene out of an Alfred Hitchcock horror movie. A couple in California returning home from a day trip to find hundreds of birds inside their home. Look at this. The couple walked into the home in Redding and were met with total chaos. How gross is this? Hundreds of swallows invading their home. The birds apparently had slipped into the chimney and just went on a wrecking spree, damaging furniture, windows, pictures, anything they could get their hands on.
There were birds flying everywhere. I mean, it was crazy.
Woo, the birds caused, get this, $20,000 worth of damage to this couple's home. Unfortunately, their insurance does not cover birds, so now they just have to come out of pocket.
The Environmental Working Group has released its 16th annual guide to sunscreens after finding that about 75% of more than 1,800 products evaluated either scored poorly for skin protection or contained ingredients that could be harmful to our health. The group claims its guide rates the safety and efficacy of products that are advertised to provide protections from the sun's rays. Carla Burns, the Environmental Working Group's Senior Director for Cosmetic Science, said that some of the ingredients found in sunscreens have been linked to both human and environmental concerns.
Welcome back. Apple TV's Edge of Your Seat spy thriller Tehran is back now for season 2 with Glenn Close joining the all-star cast. Our Will Reeves sat down with Close and her co-star Neve Sultan ahead of the show's May 6th return.
Glenn, I guess I'll start with you. You have a resume beyond compare, and you're adding to it with this show, and I wonder what drew you to it and the character you play.
We're going into the belly of the beast. Can you handle it? I'll see it through.
Well, first of all, it represented a first in practically every category. I loved the original, the first season, and then to play a woman who is, one should believe is fluent in Farsi. That was a huge challenge, and I'd never played an agent before like that. And to be with a company that was multilingual, and basically not English speaking. So all that was a great adventure for me.
Now, Neve, you're back again for season 2, and we get a different picture of your character Tamar this season. She's looking to infiltrate the high society of Tehran, and I wonder how you go about crafting your character and getting into her state of mind as you prepare and then perform.
I think she goes through a lot, Tamar. In the first season, she was sent for a specific small mission, and she's a younger agent. And I felt how her confidence grew. And in this season, she goes deeply undercover. She's much more active about everything.
The Mossad sent me to Tehran on a mission. But then everything went wrong.
The whole season is more personal for Tamar.
Glenn, you mentioned your character speaks Farsi, and you did a deep dive into that. What other preparations did you take to inhabit your character, and how would you describe your character as it relates to the context of the show?
I did a lot of reading about Iranian history, and that again was new territory. It's an area of the world that will always affect the rest of the world. And read some books, some wonderful books written by women, by Iranian women.
We failed this operation, but it wasn't for nothing. We're playing a long game here. Who sent you? Trust me.
She loves her country deeply. She loves the culture deeply. And she feels very strongly about what's happening in her country. And she has many, many secrets.
Okay. A little air of mystery around you. Neve, do you do your own stunts? Is that what I've been led to believe?
I do most of them. I can't do everything, but I do love doing my stunts. And I practice a lot, and I did Krav Maga lessons. And it really challenges me to try and do my stunts, and I love it.
What is the most challenging aspect of getting this show as accurate and as true to life as you can?
Well, I'll have to say I had two wonderful young Iranian women, refugees, one who is helping with my Farsi. To be with them every day, their sense of humor, their elegance, their love of their country, and they miss their families, and that's their reality.
Neve, what's it like working with Glenn Close?
Can you handle it? I'll see it through. I know you will.
I'm embarrassing her for 2 days now. That's a common question. Obviously, I can understand why, but she is so humble. After our first scene together, I came over to her trailer, knocked on her door, and she opened, and I told her, listen, I really wanted to thank you. It's a huge honor. It was a pleasure. I was really nervous, and I wanted to just run out of there. She stopped me, and she asked, do you work tomorrow? We have a very complicated scene on Wednesday. Do you want to meet up tomorrow and rehearse? And I believe then I got the essence of this woman.
The show is, and if you mentioned having a complicated scene, I think the show itself is a string of complicated scenes.
This operation is highly classified. We need to stop him cold.
And it's a complex topic, politics in the Middle East. How would you say that the show and all of you collaborating on it approach that really thorny subject?
We really try to show the humanity of both sides and the challenges and the struggles that every side is going through during this conflict. I think that's the most important thing in the show, more than the politics or the government.
Thank you guys, and thank you for making this show that really has something to say and does it in a very compelling way.
Our thanks to Will Reeve for that. We turn now to our weekly TikTok, where we interview some of our favorite TikTokers, taking a closer look at the story behind the sensation. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, a time to celebrate Asian voices and culture, recognizing the community's achievements and contributions. And joining us now is Joanne Lee Molinaro, also known to her 4 million followers as the Korean Vegan, a chef, a storyteller, and an Esquire. Joanne, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. I'm so excited to be part of this series.
We are excited to have you. Now, you have certainly made a big shift in your career. What was the pivotal moment that made you decide to go from law books to cookbooks?
I would say the pivotal moment was when I posted my first real cooking video on TikTok. It was my mother's braised potatoes. It had over 1 million views in just a couple days, and I think that was when I knew, hey, maybe I'm onto something here.
And let's dive into some of those incredible dishes that you make. You're putting a spin on traditional Korean dishes and make them vegan friendly. So talk to us about how and why you decided to do that.
You know, I went plant-based in 2016 for a lot of different reasons, for health reasons, for environmental reasons. But one of the things that I was so nervous about at the time was whether or not going plant-based would allow me to remain connected to my heritage and my culture. Like many Asian Americans, I connect with my Koreanness through my food. And so I started the Korean Vegan as a way to really prove to myself, yes, absolutely, you can be plant-based and you can still maintain that connection to your heritage.
And why embed life lessons and your personal family stories into those cooking videos?
Well, I think sometimes when we look at cooking videos, we tend to forget the stories underlying those videos, the people who have eaten or made those foods for sometimes hundreds and hundreds of years. And together with those stories, we also often lose the sort of, culinary traditions that really make that food so delicious. So I wanted to share some of those stories, just like, those recipe cards that you get from your grandmother, your great-grandmother, and you save those in that recipe box. I also wanted to do the same thing with the stories underlying those recipes.
So a little bit of the legacy carried over there. And you also use TikTok as an outlet to discuss your family's experience escaping North Korea. Let's take a look.
This is my grandmother. When she was only 20 years old, she bundled up her newborn son, tied him to her back, and she began the long trek across the mountains to meet her husband, who was waiting for her near Seoul.
Why was it so important for you to share this vulnerable moment?
There are a couple of things. As that video sort of discusses, my parents were actually both born in North Korea. And because of the current situation, they probably won't ever be able to go back to North Korea for the rest of their lives. So quite literally, the food from that region and the food that their parents used to make from that region is really the only connection that they have to their homelands. It's really the only opportunity they have to be transported back to the nation that was their birth. So when I create these recipes, for example, a vegan version of naengmyeon for my father, and I serve it to him, I'm not just serving him, a bowl of noodles. I'm also trying in a very small way to transport him back to a country he can never visit physically. Sharing those stories helps other refugees in the United States or anywhere in the world who feel a little displaced to feel you're seen. Your stories remain intact. They remain important to me and to millions of other people.
And you're also an advocate for racial equity. We've certainly reported on the growing instances of Asian hate and how detrimental it's been to our community. What can allies do to help support Asian Americans?
I think that's a great question, Lindsay. And one of the most important things is actually the easiest things. That's just to pick up your phone. I know we're in an age where people are a little bit isolated and we're not seeing each other as often as we may like, but the phone is still there. If you know somebody who might be impacted by the sort of rising hate against the AAPI community, simply picking up the phone, calling them, seeing how they're doing, asking them if they want to talk about it is one of the most powerful things you can do as an ally.
And lastly, help me out here. I'm not the best in the kitchen, I will admit, but I'm trying. So I'd like to ask you to share, do me a favor and many of our viewers with a quick step-by-step of your favorite dish.
Okay, so my favorite dish also happens to be my father's, one of his favorite dishes. It's called naengmyeon. We just talked about it, and it's a cold buckwheat noodle dish. It's also very popular in North Korea, which is, again, where he was born. So what you start by doing is creating this absolutely unbelievably delicious sauce, and it has a lot of ingredients in it. Buckwheat noodles you can get at any Asian grocery store, and these are the really skinny kind. You might be familiar with the thicker kind as well, but I go for the skinny ones for this. While those noodles are cooking in that 3-minute period, you're just going to make the easiest broth. A little bit of store-bought vegetable broth, a little bit of rice vinegar for tartness, and a little bit of mirin, which is a sweet rice wine, which is also going to give it a little bit more sweetness. And you mix that all together. You put your noodles in that broth that you've just created. Then you dump a whole bunch of that amazing sauce we made in the beginning. You add some scallions, you add some kimchi, you add a little bit of pear, whatever you like on the top. And then the kicker is, Lindsay, you're going to throw a few cubes of ice in there because this dish is meant to be eaten when it's boiling hot outside and you want something really refreshing.
All right, Joanne, tell me when you can come over. We'll have you anytime. We so appreciate you sharing your Korean culture with us. Thank you so much. You can find more recipes in her New York Times bestselling book on her website, thekoreanvegan.com. And there is a historic change taking place inside the White House. Consider this hug a passing of the baton of sorts. That's because after a year and a half on the job, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is stepping down, and Karine Jean-Pierre will take over as the White House Press Secretary. Jean-Pierre will become not only the first Black person to have that role, but also the first openly LGBTQ person as well. And before we go tonight, the image of the day, an epical arrival on the red carpet by actor Tom Cruise. He arrived by helicopter to the Top Gun Maverick movie premiere in San Diego. The movie opens in theaters May 27th. What a way to make an entrance. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the all-out Russian assault on Ukraine. Could Mariupol fall? And the father charged with murder for leaving his 8-month-old in a hot car outside a police station.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms. More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source. Take America's #1 news with you, anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
The deeper you go into the black market, the darker it gets.
Traffic, Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
He thought he was God.
He's now one of the most vilified men in the world. He is the everyman. Zelensky is the Tom Hanks of Ukraine.
The
fact that a little nice Jewish boy, who's 5'7", is showing up this KGB agent in the Kremlin.
What do you say to Americans who see Russia and you not only as a rival, but an unfriendly adversary?
Two men at war.
Which Vladimir will take over. The world is not going to be the same.
Christopher Steele.
The guy who picked a fight with 2 presidents, and he's lived to tell the tale.
That now infamous dossier.
Supposedly a tape showing prostitutes hired by Donald Trump urinating on a bed, and would be quite a tape if it in fact existed.
I said take out the PP tape.
It quickly became a question of how much of this was accurate.
This is the stuff of movies.
A lot of this is the stuff of movies. A story of epic proportions.
Phony stuff.
It's a bunch of crap.
It changed history.
Hey there, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour. A Georgia man has been charged with second-degree murder in the hot car death of his 8-month-old daughter. Authorities say David Watley, seen on body cam footage, was at the Snellville police station to pick up a firearm and left his daughter asleep in the car. Police arrested him on an unrelated misdemeanor probation violation. They say he did not tell them that his child was in the car. Watley's family says that he asked them to check on her. By the time the baby's grandmother could check on her, she was dead. An alleged Colombian drug lord believed to control the, quote, largest and most powerful cocaine trafficking and paramilitary organization in Colombia arrived in New York Thursday to face multiple criminal charges. According to federal prosecutors, Dairo Osuga was flown from Colombia to John F. Kennedy Airport overnight and made his initial appearance Thursday in Brooklyn federal court. A man was arrested after Chicago police say he pulled the emergency exit on a plane and then slid down the tarmac at O'Hare Airport this morning. The United Airlines plane was approaching the gate after arriving from San Diego when the man made his dangerous exit from the aircraft. There were no reported injuries and airport operations were not impacted. Now to the escalating battle in Ukraine and the fight for the key port city of Mariupol. A Ukrainian commander is saying that, quote, heavy, bloody battles are being fought for control of that massive steel plant where hundreds of Ukrainian fighters as well as civilians are trapped inside, the last holdouts in that besieged city. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are fighting back throughout the country, including in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, where they've managed to push back Russian forces. For a look at where the fight stands tonight, here's ABC's Ian Pannell.
Tonight, a band of Ukrainian fighters defiantly still holding out against the Russian army in what are described as heavy, bloody battles inside the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. This new, undated video is from the far-right Azov battalion fighting on the Ukrainian side. Other undated video posted by pro-Russian separatists show brutal bombings from the air. One official calling it bleak hell, where up to 200 civilians, including children, are trapped. Evacuation hopes shattered again today by non-stop Russian shelling. But another rescue mission planned tomorrow. Russia also striking key infrastructure across the country, trying to cripple Ukraine's supply lines. Today, the Pentagon responding to a New York Times report that the US is providing intelligence, including Russian troop movements and the location of mobile headquarters, to Ukraine, which has led to the deaths of a dozen Russian generals. US officials saying the shared intelligence is meant to help Ukraine in its fight and is not given with the intent to kill top Russian commanders.
We do not provide intelligence on the location of senior military leaders on the battlefield or participate in the targeting decisions of the Ukrainian military.
But US intelligence and weapons have been crucial in helping Ukraine's battlefield successes. Russians have now been driven 25 miles away from the country's second-largest city, Kharkiv, one of the first places to be heavily shelled. And Ukrainian military is now hitting occupied towns located right by the Russian border itself. We went to Degachi, one of at least 5 towns recently liberated from the Russians. The trail of destruction has seen 80% of its population flee. Alexander's home was destroyed by a Russian rocket. He says the Russians ruled here with fear, destroying most of the town during the fight to liberate it. He now lives with his elderly mother, who doesn't want to leave her home despite the shelling. When she hears the shelling, she jumps out of bed and prays, he says. Everyone's scared. He struggles to talk about the pain and the fear of being under Russian occupation. The effort to punish Putin and his backers for this war is intensifying. A $300 million yacht owned by a Russian oligarch was seized by the US in Fiji today. And there are urgent calls to confiscate a $700 million mega yacht docked in Italy before it sets sail in the next few days. US officials reportedly believe it's linked to Putin himself.
Our thanks to Ian Pannell for that. And now to the latest developments in the pandemic. Because of concerns about blood clots, the FDA is now moving to limit the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in favor of the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. That move comes as the latest data shows that hospitalizations are soon expected to rise as cases climb across the country. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson.
Tonight, the FDA moving to limit the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, saying the one shot should only be given to Americans who either don't have access to the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines or won't take them. The FDA pointing to the real but rare risk of blood clots after the J&J shot. It comes as COVID hospitalizations and deaths are expected to climb for the first time in months. In the last 2 weeks, ER visits up 44%.
For the most part, people are well protected from the vaccines, but those that are unvaccinated make up a large portion of those that are in hospitals, as well as the elderly and immunocompromised patients that can't mount an effective immune response.
And tonight, health officials also reporting more people are turning to the drug Paxlovid, its use up tenfold in recent weeks. But now a team of scientists is investigating some reports of a relapse in COVID symptoms in patients who took the antiviral drug. Paxlovid, which can cut the risk of hospitalization by nearly 90%, is for people with mild to moderate COVID symptoms at high risk of severe disease. John Donahue says he, his wife, and mother-in-law all saw their COVID symptoms dramatically reduced after taking the pills.
After about another 5 days, we started having symptoms again, all three of us. We had another 5 days or so of feeling ill, where we tested positive.
Donahue says the second time around, the symptoms were milder. The CDC says the reports of relapse are a reminder that anyone who develops symptoms of illness during or after isolation should remain isolated, masked, and seek out testing and clinical care. For patients who get recurrent COVID symptoms, the FDA says there is no need to take more Paxlovid. Tonight, many health experts remain confident in the drug's benefits.
The main thing is Paxlovid is to prevent progression to severe disease, hospitalization, and death, and it does that.
Our thanks to Whit. And now to the deeply personal debate on abortion rights in this country. Chief Justice John Roberts weighing in on the unprecedented leak of a draft opinion that appeared to signal that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. Roberts saying if the leaker thought that it would affect the Supreme Court's work, they are foolish. Overnight, an 8-foot-tall fence was installed around the court itself. Democrats are looking for ways to protect the right to choose, while Republicans are mostly remaining silent. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, metal fencing now up, protecting the highest court in the land. But still, a flood of demonstrators showed up at the steps. Senate Democrats are now vowing to hold a vote on legislation that would make a woman's right to obtain an abortion a federal law, codifying the Roe decision.
Republicans will not be able to hide from the horror they've unleashed on America.
Only 2 Republican senators support abortion rights. One of them is Senator Susan Collins. She voted for Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, convinced they would not overturn Roe.
So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
And one of the important things to keep in mind about Roe v. Wade is that it has been reaffirmed many times over the past 45 years.
At the time, Collins said she was given assurances.
He noted that Roe had been reaffirmed 19 years later by Planned Parenthood versus Casey, and that it was precedent on precedent. He said it should be extremely rare that it be overturned, and it should be an example.
So you have obviously full confidence.
I do.
But that draft opinion indicates both Gorsuch and Kavanaugh will vote to overturn Roe after all. Collins now says that's completely inconsistent with what they told her privately. Collins supports codifying Roe v. Wade as a federal law, but today she declared she will not support the Democrats' bill because it goes too far.
My goal is to codify what is essentially existing law. That means Roe v. Wade, and it means keeping the conscience protections, which appear to be wiped out by the Democratic version.
But Lisa Murkowski, the other Republican senator supporting abortion rights, says she is now willing to take another look at what Democrats are offering.
Rachel Scott reporting in from the Supreme Court for us tonight. In Israel, a suspected terror attack on Israel's Independence Day, leaving at least 3 people dead and Israelis and Palestinians on edge after a string of recent violence. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, terror outside Tel Aviv after Israeli authorities say at least 2 suspects armed with multiple weapons, including an axe, attacked a group of men, killing at least 3, injuring several others. The assault falling on Israel's Independence Day, sparking an intense manhunt around the town of Elad, with checkpoints set up along main roads. Helicopters also searching for a vehicle that fled the scene. Israel already on high alert after a spate of attacks since March that have claimed the lives of at least 18. It comes just weeks after a Palestinian assailant opened fire inside a crowded Tel Aviv bar, killing 3 Israelis. Israeli forces saying they're responding with pinpoint raids in the northern West Bank. In recent weeks, ABC News exclusively riding along with an IDF infantry unit as they geared up for one of those operations. Tensions also rising as Palestinians and Israeli police clashed at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a religious flashpoint that helped ignite an 11-day war with Hamas last year.
And Ariel joins us now. Ariel, no claim of responsibility for this attack. How is Israel responding?
That's right, Lindsay. So far, no direct claim of responsibility, but tonight, Hamas and Islamic Jihad have praised that attack in Elad. Israel now extending its closure of the West Bank and Gaza through Sunday. Lindsay?
All right, Ariel, thank you. Today, more emotional testimony from Amber Heard as part of her defense in the libel lawsuit filed against her by her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. Heard testified about what she says happened during the couple's ill-fated trip to Australia back in 2015. And we do want to warn our viewers that the testimony is graphic and may be triggering for some. ABC's Stephanie Ramos reports.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
More disturbing testimony in Amber Heard's second day on the witness stand. The actress sued for $50 million. Her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, claims she defamed him by claiming to be the victim of abuse.
Realizing there was a phone there, and he picked up the phone and he's screaming. He's like at the top of his lungs, screaming, "I hate you. I hate you. You ruined my life," and screaming at the top of his lungs. He picks up the phone and starts bashing the phone against the wall where I was just being held. And I was that phone all of a sudden.
On the witness stand, Heard doubled down, sobbing as she recounted a fight about Depp's drinking during their ill-fated 2015 trip to Australia.
I don't know how much time passed, but at some point he had a broken bottle up against my face, neck area by my jawline, and he told me he'd carve up my face. He had me by the neck, and he felt like he was on top of me, and I'm looking at him in his eyes, and I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore. It wasn't him. It was black. I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't see him. I felt this pressure. On my pubic bone.
Her lawyer asking her to clarify what she felt.
Johnny had the bottle inside of me and was shoving it inside of me over and over again.
Heard testified that the next morning she woke up to find messages written in blood on the walls from what she assumed came from his partially severed finger, and that none of the writing was hers.
I walked downstairs and I saw this brown on the walls going down the stairs. And the brown on the walls became clear, like lettering. And then it was obvious it was dried blood. There was blood on the carpet. I could see blood drips. I thought it was from my arms or feet, but it was drips. I walked downstairs where I heard the music coming from, and that's where I found him. Had his hand wrapped in this like rags, or bandana rags, and I think he took them down or somehow showed me, and he said, "Look what you made me do. I did this for you."
The dramatic testimony in stark contrast to how Depp recounted the trip when he testified, claiming the Aquaman actress extinguished a cigarette on his face and partially severed his middle finger by throwing a vodka bottle.
So we went to the emergency room. The doctor asked me what happened, and I lied to him. I said that I had smashed it.
Why would you lie about that?
I didn't want to get her in trouble.
In Depp's 4 days on the stand, he claimed it was Heard who abused him.
It's definitely me. After receiving kind of a roundhouse punch from Miss Heard.
Today, Heard continued to paint a picture of a jealous husband, describing the moment they were both on a private plane and an alleged violent argument took place over her filming a romantic scene with actor James Franco.
My back is turned to him, and I feel this boot in my back. No one said anything. No one did anything. It was like you could hear a pin drop on that plane. You could feel the tension, but no one did anything. I felt so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people. And more embarrassing, I didn't know what to do about it.
The defense plays this audio recording made by Heard saying that's Depp howling on that plane bound for LA before passing out in the bathroom. Heard testified that after the pirate star hit what she thought was rock bottom, in 2014, she accompanied him to the Bahamas to detox from his alleged drug use, calling it hell.
It was up, down, he'd be mad at me. Then he was wanting a hug.
Explaining she made the audio recordings and took photos of him passed out because she knew otherwise Depp wouldn't remember. This recording played days earlier from Depp's team.
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. You are such a baby. Grow the up, Johnny.
Depp's libel lawsuit stems from a 2018 op-ed published by Heard in the Washington Post. The 35-year-old described herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse without naming Depp. But Depp's legal team argues the implications are clear and that it cost him movie roles. Depp insists he never hit her. Heard's defense argues she's within her First Amendment rights, countersuing for $100 million.
Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos for that. And still to come, the questions after the Pope was pictured in a wheelchair. And our conversation with Michael Eric Dyson, who has a new book out about how young people can make America a more equal place.
It was a scary time. In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it, serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
We have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
Hey, my wife had fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident.
There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, the hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live. Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Severe sandstorms in Iraq have left at least one person dead. Authorities report that more than 5,000 people are currently suffering respiratory problems after inhaling sand and dust. The health ministry is warning people with respiratory diseases, especially asthma, not to leave their homes unless it's necessary. The worst drought to hit the Horn of Africa in decades is pushing 20 million people into hunger, according to the UN. The drought threatens to destroy an ancient nomadic way of life, leaving many children suffering from severe malnutrition across southern Ethiopia and in neighboring Kenya and Somalia. The lack of rain has killed nearly 1.5 million cattle. The herds provide the nomadic or semi-nomadic populations across the region with food and income. Pope Francis appeared in public today for the first time in a wheelchair. An aide wheeled the Pope into a meeting with nuns at the Vatican. Francis, who is 85, has been suffering from strained ligaments in his right knee for several months. Francis revealed that he recently received some injections to try to relieve the pain, but he's continued to struggle to walk and stand. The story of racial inequality in this country has many deep roots throughout history, from slavery to Jim Crow. We can date how and why marginalized groups have been affected to this day. In his new book, Unequal, A Story of America, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson uses powerful examples of history to inform the next generation of leaders and implore them to take part in creating a more equal future. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, so good to have you here in studio.
It's so good to be here with you. I admire you. I look at you every day, and I look at you on the weekends. You're doing an incredible job.
I so appreciate that. Thank you. So let's talk about the book. All right, you say that inequality permeates every part of our society. A lot of people would push back and challenge that.
Yeah, well, I think the numbers are the proof there. When we look at where African-American people are in terms of voting, we know voter suppression is still real. We look at health disparities between those who are wealthy and those who are not. And those who are white and black, you can go to the doctor, both of you make $150,000. You get treated differently for the same disease or problem you have. Look at schools, kids getting kicked out. Look at wages. Look at everything. Home ownership and the like, jobs, first fired, last hired, first fired. All this stuff still goes on. So I think that inequality is pretty clear in this country.
And you talk about racial inequality through a series of short stories. Why did you decide to go at it that way?
Well, I think, look, I'm interested in biography, well, who's Lindsay Davis? What does she do? And then that gives us a sense of what kind of personality you have and what the events are that we see through your eyes. So I wanted to look at a series of characters in history who had done things that some people didn't know about, a lot of people didn't know about, and figure out how they reveal some of the startling statistics and some of the interesting trends in history, and look at history through their eyes, and people get more connected through intimate stories.
And you talk about the movement against teaching critical race theory as well, the 1619 Project in schools. Right. Is this a book that you'd like to see as a resource for students?
Absolutely right, because most people don't know the difference between CRT and OPP. They stuck on 90s hip hop. They don't know. So the thing is that, what is critical race theory? Well, it's not what you think it is. And most white people, I think, if they understood that critical race theory is simply saying, look, don't just look at individual things like, did you use the N-word? Look at systems, look at institutions that reproduce themselves over space and time. And so don't be afraid of it, come into it. I teach mostly white kids. And they are upset when they learn, how come I didn't learn this in high school? How come I didn't learn this before? So I think that some of the politicians who say our kids will be mad at CRT, no, they're going to be mad at you for not giving them the real history. And this book is a real resource for young people especially.
With what is going on in our country, do you anticipate that some people might try to ban this book?
Yeah, well, I hope they do. Is call the name out, say exactly where you can get the book and where you want to ban it. That's right. Spell it right, because, you know, when they did it to Ibram Kendi at the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing, he went to #1. Oh, please, Ted Cruz, get my book.
And you also do a lot of parallels between historical occurrences and more modern-day events,
Right.
kind of drawing some parallels between the murders of Ahmaud Arbery,
Right.
Trayvon Martin, and then talking about Ida B. Wells, talking about the lynchings in the late 1800s. What do you hope that making those comparisons, those parallels, how that will inform your readers?
Yeah, great question. I think, look, I want them to see that it ain't nothing new. This stuff has happened before. This is a repetition of history. And yet, with all of the advance we've made, and we have, the progress we've made undeniably, there are still lingering suspicions and skepticisms about black people. Ahmaud Arbery can't even run down the street without being accosted and murdered. George Floyd can't, you know, use a counterfeit bill. And as the owner said, most people don't even know they're using a counterfeit bill. So now he dies because you have an inability to recognize his humanity. That stuff was in the 1700s, 1800s, and now here in the 2000s. And I wanted to address that and show the parallel so that people could go, aha. In fact, the bill in Florida that Ron DeSantis put forth, the governor, in part said, we don't mind you teaching about race and slavery and all that stuff, just don't connect it to what's going on now. Well, that's the linchpin. What happened then affects what's happening now. Supreme Court decisions made in 1857 have an effect and impact on us in today's world.
You have called this book a prologue to our present. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, you know, we're trying to understand how we got here. You know, they say if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So this is the prologue to the present. This is what came before. This is the opening. If you listen to Jay-Z on his Kingdom Come album, this is the prelude. This is the introduction. This is where we make our opening remarks, so to speak. But we want to give people a sense of what this history has been made of. What are the elements? Who are the people? What are the struggles? And then when they say, oh, wow, okay, it's a prelude and a prologue to the present, because a lot of stuff that was going on then is still happening now. So we hope to inform people in the present world drawn from examples of what happened before.
Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Hey, such a pleasure for you to come by. Good luck with the book. Unequal, A Story of America is available now wherever books are sold. And still to come, the amputee cancer survivor completing a stunning feat, 104 marathons in 104 days. We'll explain how she did it when we come back.
Right now, with so much at stake, Sunday mornings, this is the place. Taking on all the tough questions, straightforward reporting, no spin, no hype, no bull. Thank you for making ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos the #1 Sunday morning news show versus the competition.
Welcome to This Week.
Take America's #1 news with you anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Ready for a little GMA-ish promo? Okay, here we go. GMA 7A every day with Robin, George, and Michael. That's how you start the day. Boom!
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms.
Listen to this story. Finally tonight, a runner who just broke a world record by running a marathon every day for 104 consecutive days. That covers a distance that's just a few miles shy of the equivalent from running from New York City all the way to Los Angeles. And her feat is all the more remarkable because she did it as an amputee. ABC's Will Gans has a story.
21 years ago, life looked pretty different for Jackie Hunt Broersma.
I was told that when
I had my leg amputated. It's like, it's okay. You're going to be in a wheelchair. You'll be fine. It's like, this is your new normal.
The South African native lost her left leg below the knee to a rare type of cancer back in 2001.
When you become an amputee, there's a stigma. Like, you're put in a box. You're disabled.
But then, Jackie found running.
Running just makes me feel strong and fearless, and it makes me feel free.
And this week, Jackie broke a world record, completing 104 marathons in 104 days.
Someone had done a record, and the record was 95 consecutive days. The record was held by an able-bodied, and I was like, you know what? It would be really cool if someone with an amputee like me came and did it.
A total of 2,724.8 miles. Her favorite marathon, Boston.
I hope that people will look at it and say, you know what, I'm capable of a lot more than what I think. Just get out there and realize you can do hard things.
Up next, a couple of weeks to rest? Not exactly.
I'm already itching to get back running. I might start my training early and be back out on the trails.
Training for a 240-mile race in October.
I might mail you my Fitbit, and that way
There we go. You get your steps in, right?
Yeah, my family's going to be like, what is he doing?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I won't tell them.
Super impressive. My hat is off to her, and our thanks to Will. And that is our show for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
America's #1 news.